Bubbles form and glisten in light, bearing on fragile surfaces particles of lead. In Australia's mining centre of Broken Hill, young men from the developing world of Bougainville are learning the skills of mineral concentration. Julius and his friend Jackson have come to gain practical experience. A huge concentrator has been built by Bougainville Copper, and they will help control it.
My name is Julius Nakonen. I come from a village 10 miles south of Panguna, and I have been working with BCP since 1967.
They learned many things of the latest control techniques involving probes with radioisotopes. Broken Hill is a world leader in flotation, which separates the minerals from the waste. And its verdict on these quick-to-learn employees of BCP: any mine would be pleased to employ them.
Coming to Broken Hill is a great advantage for me to learn practical views of what I have learned in theory up there.
Train. Learn to handle delicate controls. Test what you've learned on a simulator. Jackson and Julius returned to Panguna for final instruction. The company trained the local people in many skills to become shovel operators, truck drivers, draftsmen, cooks, clerks, mechanics. 2/3 of its 3,000-strong workforce are Papua New Guineans. Bougainville's deposit is deep in the mountains, and its discovery was a major geological achievement based on sound reasoning, hard work, and perseverance. It consists of 900 million tons of low-grade copper ore. But if you shift enough of it, say 80,000 tons each and every day, it becomes payable. Plenty of heavy equipment is needed. Electric shovels taking 25 tons a time. Trucks, which can carry 100 tons. To add to the transport problem, the ore body was covered by millions of tons of waste material, and this had to be removed. Ore goes to the crusher, which starts the treatment process, converting it to a concentrate of 30% copper. And each ton of concentrate contains an ounce of gold and a little silver as well. The construction phase, to bring Bougainville Copper on stream, lasted 3 years and cost $400 million. The grinding and flotation sections of the concentrating plant are the biggest in the world to be accommodated under one roof. The houses for the family men and the flats for the single men are now complete in the valleys of Panguna. Flat land is at a high premium. The ups and downs of jungle tracks have given way to a massive 16-mile highway, which links Panguna to the coast with gentler gradients. The mountain restrictions of Panguna led to the establishment of Arawa on the coast, which was built in conjunction with the administration. One day it will become one of the biggest towns in Papua New Guinea. Close to Arawa is Aniwa Bay, the port for the project. The concentrate ships leave here for the industrial centers of Japan, Germany, and Spain. The company's 135 megawatt power station is also here, supplying power to Panguna by a line which traverses the peaks of the mountains. It also supplies the local electricity commission. An important event takes place. Local people accept their entitlement to shares in the project and become part owners of it. Over 9,000 residents in Bougainville, Papua New Guinea are shareholders. Late November 1971 was an important time for a point of land called Ty Point near Bluff in southern New Zealand. a new aluminium smelter was to be declared open, established by the combined resources of Australia, New Zealand and Japan, all brought together in a new company called New Zealand Associated Smelters. 150 New Zealand firms supplied materials for the smelter. It can produce 73,000 tonnes a year and is designed for easy expansion to 3 times that tonnage. In nearby Invercargill, 250 guests assembled with Don Hibbard, chairman of NZAS and Camalco, as the chief host. Sir Keith Holyoake, the Prime Minister at the time, gave guests the traditional Maori welcome. Haere mai, haere mai. Next day was opening day. Sir Keith spoke of advantages that would flow on from the smelter.
This great international enterprise will bring greater employment, greater profit, greater pleasure, and increasingly higher standards of living, not just for the people who work in this factory, but it will spill over and rub off.
Mr. Hibbard said the guests saw around them the physical results of a joint venture, which would never have succeeded without the enterprise of the New Zealand government, complemented by the capital resources of New Zealand, Australia, Japan and other countries. Tiwai Point was the culmination of 2 developments: the smelter itself and the Lake Manapuri hydro scheme, the greatest undertaken in New Zealand. To produce 1 single tonne of aluminium from 2 tonnes of alumina takes as much electricity as the average household uses in 2 or 3 years. Aluminium ingots end a storyline that started with the bauxite from Weipa, which was shipped to Gladstone to become alumina and moved on again to this southern place to become aluminium. Aluminium can be fashioned into beautiful shapes, and Camalco encourages its use in the arts. Modern processing brings out its inherent beauty. Without metals, our way of life would be far different. The world uses them in ever-increasing quantities, doubling consumption about every 30 years. Mining in action meets this demand by following a tried and proven pattern of development. The first essential is to explore and find an ore body, testing it with diamond drills which can penetrate over 8,000 feet below the surface. The next essential is to prove that what you've discovered can be developed into a viable operation. Hundreds of factors have to be considered. The grade of ore found, its ease of treatment, can it be made available to the market at payable prices? New methods of assessing these factors have cut out many of the risks, but they can't be eliminated completely. If you have mines at Broken Hill, smelters at Port Pirie and Cockle Creek, and service companies, important pluses can result if you amalgamate them. The Australian Mining and Smelting Company of Melbourne has done this. It has brought operations in Australia and Europe together, and the lead-zinc ores of Broken Hill are its basis. This mining centre has supplied world markets since 1885 and has made greater impact on Australia's development than any other centre. The AM&S mines here are the Zinc Corporation and New Broken Hill Consolidated, which extract almost 2 million tonnes of ore each year. While Dad's at work and Mum does the shopping, Their lively children are cared for in Zinc Corporation's kindergarten. In the park, which was once a desolate sandy waste, there's the fascination of seeing real live ducks and swans. Broken Hill mines the ore and produces a concentrate, which leaves regularly for smelters in Australia and overseas. The Port Pirie plant of Broken Hill Associated Smelters is one of the world's largest lead smelters, and it's Australia's biggest silver producer also. AM&S has a half interest here. To the east is Cockle Creek, where Sulphide Corporation operates another complex in AM&S's smelter lineup. Concentrate from Broken Hill has arrived to become lead and zinc metal in an Imperial Smelting Furnace, or ISF. This one has operated since 1961 and has achieved steady improvements in efficiency and output. The Economic Community of Europe is within the framework of the operations of AM&S, which also has interest in England and Holland. The proposal for Boudel, Holland, is underway. A high-grade zinc plant to produce 150,000 tonnes each year is under construction and planned to start up late in '73. Another half interest is held here. Over 300 years ago, William Dampier came to this remote part of Western Australia. He thought it a lonely, desolate, unproductive land. But it's now one of the greatest iron ore centres in the world. Hammersley's port ships out over 20 million tonnes of iron ore and pellets each year, and it bears Dampier's name. Close by is a big salt operation, also named after Dampier. Old William, who was more a buccaneer than a visionary, thought the Aborigines a miserable people. He didn't know they were artists. The Hammersley area abounds with their symbolic artwork. The companies have gone to great pains to preserve their work, and the force behind Dampier Salt's effort is a dedicated Italian, Enzo Varilli, who's in love with this part of the world. Thursday Islanders are blood cousins to the Australian Aborigines. They like work and they love life. They're in demand by contractors laying the tracks which now cross the lonely miles of the Pilbara, bringing mines like Mount Tom Price to the markets of the world. This new track is 65 miles long, the iron ore deposit of Paraburdoo to the Tom Price system, which extends a further 180 miles to Dampier. In less than 5.5 years, the line between Tom Price and Dampier carried 110 million tonnes, making it one of the busiest single tracks in the world. The Mount Tom Price mine is high in grade and efficient in operation. To the south is Paraburdoo, the company's second mine. When market conditions are favourable, it will combine with Tom Price to augment the Hammersley picture and present the product of a unique complex to international customers. Young men are one of the major strengths behind the operation. There's Brian Marr of Tom Price.
We've always had an excellent product from this mine. We have a beautiful ore body, and the product now is one which is probably second to none in the world for quality, not only of iron grade, but controlled level of impurities.
There's also Dennis McMahon of Paraburdoo.
Paraburdoo is shaping pretty well, and we've learnt many lessons from Tom Price, and will mean that this operation should be a very effective and efficient one.
In both places, natural beauty combines with man-made beauty and all the amenities of city life. One of the smaller ore trains heads for Dampier, bound for the new port facilities on East Intercourse Island, which can take carriers up to 160,000 tons. The first ship has been loaded and sent on its way. Not many years ago, seagulls were the only life here. But with Dampier Salt's port a few miles to the south, Hammersley's pellet plant and a new town, the development has been intensive. It was once said, he who makes it his business to find out what the land produces must walk over it. This is what the Conzinc Rio Tinto Group has done and is continuing to do. From small beginnings, mining and industrial complexes have been built up, all based in Australia or the near north, and moving more and more into the realm of being integrated worldwide operations.